Todos tenían límites. No, you're good.
Foodshed, if you eat our veggies, if you are a subscriber, farmer, oh wow, you're popular. I love this. How many of you know your farmers? I see a lot of hands rising. This is a great opportunity. There is a lot of Foodshed farmers here today. So if you're a farmer, raise your hand and everybody say thank you. We also like to acknowledge everybody in the room, everybody that is doing work in the food system here in San Diego. Together, we're here today. We made it. So they say to like really address all the different challenges and issues, and it's been incredible to have these conversations. So thank you to everybody that is participating in many different capacities to make our food system more just, more equitable. I'm going to introduce some of the panelists that we have here from Foodshed. Eliago, our aggregated cooperative development coordinator. We have Frida, our community organizer. Rosa Sanchez from Promotoras in City Heights. We have she's an incubator farmer and a trainee. And we have Amanda Subish, right? Oh, from Palma Tribal Farms, and she's one of the Foodshed farmers. So again, this is a welcoming to all of you. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to start with Ari. We're going to all share a little bit of the work we do inside of Foodshed as an organization. And hopefully, at the end of today, you will leave this room, you will leave this gathering, like feeling that you belong to the food system, feeling that you can become an agent of change in the food system, that we all have a role to play. This is a task that we all need to do with our passion, with our love for our food system, for the farmers and the communities that we feed.
Hi everybody, is this
Volume okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was tasked with talking a little bit about what Foodshed is in the history, but I'll try to breeze through that so you can actually hear the amazing voices here and all that we're actually doing now. Foodshed, the vision was cooked up in late 2018 by 6 friends with shared years of social justice work and the desire to connect to the land we stand on in some significant way. And to us that meant, that it'd be in a good way that honors the first people of this land, like that we walk with them, that we learn with them, and that we make sure that whatever we do is in somewhat alignment to what they want to do. Also, we wanted to do this in a way that honors the immigrant communities that we come from, that many of us come from, and that leaves this earth in a better balance, both physically but also socially for the generations to come. So all this to say is that we had a keen awareness of the systemic challenges that we face. And so from the beginning, that led us to starting off with some points of unity, which are that we are farmer-owned, we are cooperatively operated, we are regenerating agriculture, fostering interdependence, committed to equity, and that we uplift beginning farmers. So with that, we're a small farm distribution cooperative. Our move from a vision to the launch of our business was accelerated hugely by the onset of the pandemic in 2019. And so pragmatically, we formed as an S Corp with just 4 shareholders from 2 farms, with a network of 6 to 8 farms in the beginning. And you'll hear more about how much we've grown since then. But the systemic challenges that were exacerbated by the pandemic, led us to do this sort of rush, formality of our organization, but we always had the intention of functioning as a farmer-owned cooperative. You'll hear, again, the many voices that speak to the strategies and programs and the many dimensions of our work now, but I'll just speak briefly about my main scope of work this past year as Cooperative Development Coordinator, and as a member of the Co-Director Circle for Foodshed. So we've spent this last year, 2 years, but mainly this last year, examining how, we're talking about the themes of formation and belonging, and I feel like what we've been doing is examining how our formation creates the belonging. So we have taken the decision to, with the generous support of the San Diego Food System Alliance and Telelock, which we're going to be forming California Cooperative. That's a multi-stakeholder cooperative, which we're really excited about, and I think that's one of the kind of shifts as we walk, which has been the realization that for it to just be farmer-owned doesn't provide the real ownership that's necessary for the people that are making the distribution happen, and that it's very the idea of this cooperative is to take some of the burden off of the farmers in terms of marketing and the logistics of that distribution. Then there's got to be also some workers who maybe are not as much farmers, although all of us at this point have a strong connection to farming. But as we're looking to the future, trying to build a structure that shares we're building the decision making between both the workers and the producers or farmers. And so the other kind of thing that we've learned as we've grown these last few years is that what we're aiming for, which I think you're going to talk about later, right, Ellie? But just in short is that we want to get to a model that's sustainable, right? That we make enough money to pay our farmers a good price, pay our workers a fair wage, a living wage, and it's not about gaining profits, it's about becoming sustainable. And so with that in mind, we've sort of created 2 areas of work. We have our distribution operation, which we're budgeting for, and then we have our systems change work, which is largely grant funded. And by choosing to do both and separate them, even though they're still part of our organization, we're able to see how the grant funding helps us do the broader systems change work that we all need to be a part of, and also sort of help this co-op as we're in the initial stages, get to that point where the distribution part is sustainable on its own. But in these first few years, again, thanks to the support that we've gotten in terms of technical assistance and doing our business plan and stuff, we've realize that it's going to take us about 5 years before we reach that goal of the distribution part of our work becoming self-sustainable. And then the last point I just wanted to share is just that from the work that we're doing developing this cooperative and all of these things, the huge help that we've gotten is just in the capacity building. So to have those of us who don't have business experience, it's just this like dream or vision that aligns with where we want to be in the world, to have the support to learn the budgeting and the legal stuff, it just has been huge. And I just, as a model to share going forward, to be able to access that kind of technical support is just really invaluable.
My name is Rika, and I work with the Distro Circle. And also through community organizing. I just wanted to acknowledge that there's several of us here in the panel, but I just wanted to thank Diana, Jose, Monica, Kay, Adriana, Ellie, Nan, Bea, Christina, and Cookie. Not all of them are here in the panel. Cookie is actually at the hub, taking care of everything else. And without them, like none of this would happen the way it happens. And well, I didn't go into the different panels, and people have been talking about food justice and access to food. And an organization like us has a chance to actually take the food, to distribute this food to the people who need it, and to the allies that want to work with us and align with our values. And it's been a super great ride. Right now, we do this program with UCSD, and we distribute 355 CSA boxes in the community of City Heights in Southeast San Diego. And on top of that, we do like 132 CSAs too, and it's crazy, because the aggregation, like Ellie's doing a wonderful job, and the growers, everybody who's growing the food. If you're next to a farmer and think of, they're doing an excellent job, and we have the chance to be in front of the customer. Somehow we do it like super local. We have a couple electric vehicles that if anybody has an electric vehicle, you probably have anxiety too. Like all of us, it's to see if we're gonna make it, But we're doing it, Diana's amazing. She just takes all the stress driving those cars, and then another part of my job that I really love is to talk to people and to engage with the community. And Foodshed gives me a chance to do that, and to have all the stories and then share them with the farmers, because everybody at the farmers market wish they would have community organizers, probably, because you don't have a chance once you're in front of the farm stand to answer questions, You're so busy working and then trying to survive, sustain your business. And so people like me have the chance to experience that. I can tell you millions of stories. Like we've been working with around 25 promotoras in City Heights, and also we did last year work in Sherman Heights with around 10 promotoras over there. And basically, like when we talk about change or accessibility for food, having access to food is not everything. You might have the food right there, and nobody's saying, I want more vegetables, or or anything. So it's the type of work that I have a chance, and some of us have a chance to do, to be with the community and accompany the community, and organize cooking demos, and any kind of event that empower our community and to change, our habits, eating habits. And so, like I said, all this type of work, we've been doing it, and people have been responding. Before I pass the mic to Rosita, I just wanted to tell you a couple of things about how it's a struggle to bring food to low-income communities. One of them is we realized once we start doing all these deliveries that in our neighborhoods, because we were doing CSAs in the neighborhoods, North Park, City Heights, Hillcrest, Mission Hills. But in our neighborhoods, sometimes people don't have numbers in their houses. So you can imagine all these little things that make it so much difficult. And the other story that I wanted to share with you guys, it was the one time I was delivering this box, and I rang the bell, I put the bag, I left, went to my car, and then all of a sudden I see through the mirror, I see this lady walking really slow, and then I wait and roll down the window, and she's like, "Did you drop the box right here?" I was like, "Yeah, sorry, when you called me, I couldn't make it to the phone," because she's walking really slow. When you ring the bell, by the time I opened the door, you were gone. And then finally, she had a chance to at least exchange numbers, and now she can use her cell phone, to make it easier. And it's all these little things, and I'm pretty sure all of us have all these little stories about how difficult it is. But hey, we're committed. All this, little people. Oh, plus I didn't say thanks to Max, Anthony, and Cyril that are helping us out right now and join the team doing production. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenas tardes. Tardes a todos. Gracias que me pasen el tiempo y la razón. Me da mucho gusto estar aquí y gracias por estar aquí. Pero la experiencia que he tenido al trabajar con Foodshed no solamente es mía, sino un grupo de promotoras junto con Miriam. Es una promotora apasionada que lo hacemos con amor. Es un privilegio y más en el tiempo de COVID. Ha sido un tiempo maravilloso que nos ha tocado, más que nada porque a mí me tocó primeramente probar lo que iba a empezar con Foodshed. Fue algo maravilloso. ¿Y por qué? ¿Por qué me tocó probar? Porque me invitaron a una junta que se estaba empezando. Y cuando yo llegué, prepararon una agua muy rica, que fue de varias frutas, zanahoria, manzana, betabel. Y yo llegué y dije, oh, wow. Pero para esto me costó trabajar, porque aquí pueden ver, mis manos hay artritis. Qué difícil cuando sufren de artritis o tienen familia que tiene artritis. Doblar las manos, caminar, a veces levantarse. Es bien difícil. Y yo lo probé, la tomé y caminé. Oh, wow, podía ver las cosas. Luego subí esta bajadita, pero la subida es más difícil. Pude caminar y pude experimentar el gran cambio de probar frutas y verduras libres de pesticidas. Entonces, cuando empezamos, me apasioné tanto, con tanto amor y pasión, y ha sido un tiempo maravilloso que he vivido junto con mis compañeras. ¿Por qué? Porque lo hacemos con amor, con pasión, con dedicación, viendo que los beneficios que yo obtuve en mi persona, en mi vida, vi que ahí tenemos nuestra farmacia natural. Y algo que decía mi compañero Ricardo, es bien importante que nuestra comunidad, las familias de nuestra comunidad, sepan, entiendan el gran valor de consumir alimentos libres de pesticidas. Es bien importante. Háganlo si no lo han hecho. Hoy conmigo. ¿Saben qué? Yo creo que ninguno de ustedes es igual, porque empezamos a tener la reacción en nuestras manos, en nuestro cuerpo. Para mí ha sido maravilloso el poder trabajar con la comunidad, explicarles del gran beneficio y lo más importante, ir hablando de Foodshed, llevando a los hogares, a las casas de nuestra comunidad. ¿Y cuál es el punto? Que hay mucha gente inmigrante, refugiados, que son los que menos se les da la ayuda. Ahí queremos llegar. Ahí queremos llegar porque de verdad, y yo doy muchas gracias a Dios por la vida de Miriam que nos invitó a este grupo de familias a trabajar junto con el grupo de Foodshed. De verdad, yo le doy muchas gracias a Dios por sus vidas, estoy muy agradecida. He vivido unos tiempos, los invito a que la inscríbanse en la Foodshed, que no vamos a seguir tomando medicinas, ¿verdad? Que para la artritis, que para el dolor, aparte de que nos dañan la flora intestinal, el hígado y los riñones, que son número uno los que son afectados, vamos a comer delicioso.
She's one of our promotoras in City Heights. So she said that her experience as a promotora has been just a privilege, especially during these times of COVID. It has been marvelous. Tasting Foodshed's vegetables has also been marvelous. She mentioned she went to a meeting the first time and that there was a water that was made of beets and carrots, and that, with her suffering from arthritis, that, moving can be a challenge, especially on the uphill, and that she experienced the benefits of eating pesticide-free vegetables and feeling the ease of the arthritis symptoms. It's our natural pharmacy. The privilege to eat pesticide-free food is, it's something we should all enjoy. And you ate pesticide-free food today for lunch, you should be feeling the benefits now. So it's also, expressing, being so grateful for Miriam and her work with the Promotoras group, and that it has been a privilege to be able to work with the community and go to their homes and talk to them about what Foodshed is. And again, remember, it's your natural pharmacy. Eating pesticide-free food is restoring your flora in your gut biome. And
delicioso. Hemos visto platillos formidables, utilizar y usar los diferentes frutas y verduras deliciosas. Los invito a que se inscriban y a que puedan ir y tomar alguna de las clases tan maravillosas. Cuando ustedes vayan, no van a querer dejar ir. Tenemos el diamante y el diamante.
to invite you to our cooking demos at our farm hub, and it's Tuesdays and Fridays, alternating weeks, and you can sign up, join us, and taste the formidable dishes. If you enjoy it, I want to come back.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Charlene Aguilar, and I'm very proud to say that I'm finally a farmer. started a farm incubator project mentioned by Solidarity and Foodshed. It's called Diva Manipa, and it's the Tagalog for spirit of the soil. Now I'm working with Common Tribal Farms. Partner Amanda is here. She kind of stole me. And again, just wanted to reiterate, well, raise your hand if Foodshed helped to grow you as a farmer. Awesome. So thank you. For being part of the movement and for helping to heal the soil and for helping to feed people. So I was born and raised in Southeast San Diego. In the summer of 2020, I came back after being gone for 25 years. And part of my homecoming was this yearning to steward the land. The timing was perfect because at the time, as you were saying, Foodshed was growing, and there was this webinar that I found out about called Whose Food, Our Food. And I attended it, and then I visited Farm Stand at Solidarity. I sent an email, I made up an application, and they gave me a chance. They knew very little about me, and they welcomed me and gave me a chance. So Foodshed grew me as a farmer these past 2 years. So how has Foodshed supported me? Well, they let me stay for 2 years, so I could gain real experience, long-term experience in farming. I was an intern, I was part of the farm crew, and then I became part of the farm incubator. Access to 3 major things, and if you were attending any of the panels, these were probably addressed: land, water, and a market. So Foodshed promises to buy what we grow, and that gave us the initial boost to grow as a farmer. A very valuable thing was a mentorship. So thanks to Jan and KK and Ellie for teaching us about production, farming operations, and farming as a business. I also really appreciated that I could say, hey, I'm just going to grow 5 crops this season and just give you 50 units, several weeks, and that was completely encouraged. It was realistic and recognized that that's what I needed to do. Less is more. Know these crops and know them well. And so when I decided to grow my farm business, I know I'll have the skills and the resources and the support, and I'll know who to turn to. A more recent form of mentorship is kind of the Carbon Sync Incentive Program. That's a very nice gathering because the Foodshed farmers get together and we get to know what the other farmers are doing and their practices, and we also have guidance in business planning. There's also Foodshed in-person gathering. It's a mini retreat one evening on the farm, and we were able to put our heads together to envision and solve problems. So I have a colleague in San Francisco who taught the kids healthy soil, healthy food, healthy people, healthy communities. And that is the impact of Foodshed. They reach all of these areas. And Foodshed as a model is awesome because it can be replicated. So think of starting small. For example, on a farm, we have a farm incubator program where they train native youth. Or I could take Diva Manipa to the South Bay, partner with a nonprofit who serves Filipino community in Paradise Hills, National City, do outreach distribution, and also people for CalFresh and CalFresh. So just to know what's happening in your immediate Foodshed. So how can you get the word out about this work? So 2 things, 2 efforts, don't worry, you're clean. Food and field trips. So buy local produce, serve it, have your loved ones eat it. When they rave about how wonderful your cooking is, cooking demonstrations, how good the vegetables are, invite them for a farm visit. Have a farm tour, see what's growing. Look at the practices, talk to a farmer. So can you do these 2 things? Can you serve food and go on field trips?
I'll keep it short, keep it simple. I'm Amanda Subish. I am the supervisor on the tribal garden. When we first started, we grew only for Foodshed. And I have a funny story. One time I was out in the field and Allie's like, hey Amanda, I need 30 bunches of onions in 30 minutes. And she's like, Rita's gonna leave. And I'm like, what? You know, so I'm like, oh crap. You know, so like we're getting everything together, like wash and package too. She's like, okay. You know, I'm not trying to scare you guys off, but I will say growing through Foodshed has molded me as the farmer that I am today. As far as support, Foodshed my family. Foodshed my friends. I want to make sure that They're my birth family, and they've supported me in more ways than just being on the farm. So I believe in them because they have a vision.
We're a family and we can be emotional. And like everybody was sharing, we wear many different hats at Foodshed. My personal involvement and something that I love is Foodshed gave me the opportunity for professional growth. Now as a climate resident project coordinator, I work directly with farmers in the task of what are the practices that help us grow all this food without any pesticides and chemical fertilizers, and how we always put like soil health at the center of what we do. This is for us growing food and growing new farmers is at the core value of Foodshed. In the last 2 years, we have developed different programs that support underserved communities, training programs that teach people that want to get into farming, not only how to grow crops, but also the business side, and like Amanda was sharing, the access to a market. Sometimes, we get into this like all fired up about, I want to grow food, I want to start a farm, and you don't know where to start. So we give you all the tools and the opportunity to do the field work, but also think about this as your livelihood. We want to see more farmers, we need more farms in San Diego, so we can like feed our communities. And this year, with the support with different grants, we were able to implement a carbon sink incentive program. With these programs, we're aiming to create community practices, like what are the challenges that the climate change or climate crisis is bringing to our soils, to our farmers. And we see like across the board that it's getting hotter, it's all the different like variations on the challenges that the farmers are facing. We provide these different trainings, and above all, what we want to see is soil health and the food system at the center of the climate discussion. When we really put this effort into like building these programs that are not only like focusing on what are the practices that are going to give us the most carbon sequestration or the most like organic matter in the soil, just to like reach some of the targets that the county and the city has with the different climate action plans, the decarbonization framework. Those are targets that are achievable if we use agriculture as a climate solution. So if we can sequester more like carbon in the soil, we can remove like the greenhouse gas emissions, and we can offset that by increasing the organic matter in the soil, but bringing more biodiversity in our soils. So then the food that we're growing is healthier, and we are going to be healthier as well. So this program focuses on like creating these community practices. We do soil health assessment and monitor and track. We want to build this like baseline to demonstrate to different shareholders and the policymakers that the carbon sink practices do work, that our farmers want to go the extra mile to make sure that we can have the resources that we need to make this our way of farming. Regenerative farming is happening. It's not something that we want to see in the future. It's something that we are promoting when we do the training, so people can really make the shift. So agriculture become this ally in our fight for healthier food, make this food available to underserved communities that have been neglected historically. And that's our three pillars, like connecting with the community, having thriving farms in our region, and like building this community of practice that will like really make the shift that we want to see in our local food system.
I have to stand up because I have a ton of nervous energy. So I apologize, but I'm going to do that. So you heard the depth of the different parts that make up Foodshed. My job is to give you guys the big picture and talk about where we're going. Okay? So we have what we call a cooperative crop plan, right? So our marketing team, Riva and the promotoras, and the whole side that's sort of looking at distro say we need 400 boxes a week, right? And then our production side says, okay, we make a plan of what's going to go into those boxes week after week. And we take that plan and we go out to our Foodshed farmers and we say, who's going to grow what? And everyone signs up and says, I'm going to do this and you're going to do that, right? And we work it out. And then everyone tries really hard, to plant it and to grow it and have it ready on time. But as everyone knows, that doesn't always work out. I would say it depends on the week. Sometimes we hit it 100%, and sometimes it's like 20%, right? And so I, as the aggregator, look at what we actually have coming in, and then I look wider to our other farmers who grow avocados or apples or don't always have crops, and we backfill with that produce. We prioritize working with urban farmers first. Those smaller numbers. So let's say we need 400 bunches of carrots. Well, let's use kale, because that's a better urban example. We need 400 bunches of kale. Well, maybe Saeed can grow 70 of those, right? And maybe on her farm, and maybe Stephen's like, I can do 100 on my farm, right? Okay, then we need another farm. Maybe Sage Mountain will do the other 120 and really bad. I need Excel, right? And so everyone can kind of fill, and we're coordinating together, right? And so we bring it all together to our packing hub in City Heights. We put it all together, and the distro team, delivers it out to the community in our super cool electric vehicles. And in many cases, what we try to do is work with promotoras to also help deliver those boxes to new families, or to check in with families who have recently been enrolled either in our Food Veggie Prescription program that we were talking about. Maybe they just signed up through our CalFresh CSA. And this is new to them. And so the promotoras reach out and they say, hey, let's talk about what's in your box. Do you want to come to a cooking class? Try to make people feel like they're part of the community and they understand what's different about our boxes. It's not just what you get at the grocery store, it's going to look different. So you can kind of see the spectrum. We're trying to kind of go all the way around. Now, we get feedback from the community and we take that back, to our farmers, and that informs our technical assistance team. It kind of goes out and says, hey, you didn't have that kale, kind of twice in a row. What's going on? Oh, I had, this bad aphid infestation. I had to pull everything out. Okay, let's talk about why that's happening, right? And we can get in there and we can provide the direct technical assistance. Or, hey, you showed up and your kale was kind of floppy. What happened? Oh, well, it was hot and I don't have a cooler. All right, let's get you connected with El Mari's cooler program and let's get you, the cooling system that you need. So by being directly involved all the way along, we're able to help kind of precision apply that technical assistance, which is a very different model of kind of technical advisors with lots of great education kind of going out and talking to people about, more abstract problems. These are very specific problems that we're solving. And I think why it works also is because it's farmers talking to other farmers, saying, we get it, we know this is hard, we're here to help make it happen. And maybe the solution isn't what you thought it was, right? So you have sort of an ally to help you troubleshoot it. So that's sort of the model, right, that we're applying. We're working with kitchen table consultants right now to look at a model that says, okay, if we want to scale up 50 boxes, how many square feet of cooling facility and packing facility does that take? And how many square feet of land do we need, or how many acres of new farming do we need to bring in to be able to scale it up? So that we really have an understanding of
both sides of the food system, right? I've been, as a farmer for 10 years, I'm just gonna say that, harvesting everything, taking it to the farmer's market, and hoping that someone buys it is defeating. It's exhausting, and so knowing that you put the seed in the ground and you know where it's already going, knowing that it's gonna feed a family in Southeast San Diego or a family in City Heights, then I'm feeding feeding the people, right? The ones I want to feed. And we can create these models. And I just want to say that so many people in this room taught us this model. This wasn't our idea. This is a long time coming. But I think we're onto something, right? So we shared sort of a little paper that was on some chairs. And I just want to say that, we're talking about this push and pull model, right? And you can take a look at, so on one side, we're trying to push the food, the farmers towards a more thriving food system, but we also have advocacy work to do to pull, right, on the other side. And so Bea and with a bunch of allies in this room, we've also been doing a lot of advocacy to change the way that the system sort of looks at farming. We have amazing opportunities on the horizon. San Diego created a regional decarbonization strategy that includes a food system element. It's specifically, I don't think there's another document in the entire country, Ariel, tell me if I'm wrong, that is actually gonna look at climate through the lens of food systems. It's phenomenal, right? But we know that we can't grow the most beautiful food in the world on the most expensive land with the most expensive water and then sell it to people at a really great and affordable price, right? This is Southern California we live in, right? We need a social change model. We need different policy. We need investment, right, of our public dollars, our dollars, not their dollars. We sometimes pretend it's theirs, it's ours. And we need to demand that that money gets invested the ways that we want so we can really build a food system that works for us. And so I think we have a lot of opportunity, to do that right now, but it's gonna take all of our voices, every single one of us. And Foodshed's one model, there are dozens in this room that deserve just as much attention and lifting up. And so I just want to give a shout out to San Diego Food System Alliance for being leaders and bringing us together, for providing so that we can be successful. They helped us fund our business plan. They helped us fund our cooperative development, our co-op legal bills. I guess that's what they're going to pay. So we have, was it Larissa that was at the Carbon Safety Convergence, and she just kept sharing this mantra. She's from Soulfire Farms. You guys know Soulfire Farms, right? And she just kept telling us, we are enough. We are more than enough. And I hear the promotora say all the time, we deserve it. And so I just want to say, this movement is growing. This movement is strong. Let's do this. Woo.
So we have some time for Q&A. So if you would have any questions, you can raise your hand and we can pass you the mic. I see a hand over there.
Thank you. I wondered if you could give a little more detail on the soil testing. We've seen you really demonstrate that the carbon seeing that works. And what do you find out from that? Any surprises?
Yes, I'm going to be a stoner.
Well, we do soil health assessments once a year for all the farms participating in this program. And we have, for instance, with Solidarity Farm, that is a farm that have been tracking since 2018. What is the progress of using some of the reduced tillage or no-till, minimizing the disturbance of the soil. So with that one, we were able to track the increase of the soil organic matter. That's one of the indicators that we look at. It has been said that if we increase 1% of soil organic matter in the global soils, we can revert and offset the greenhouse gas emissions. So with that in mind, increasing the biodiversity in the soil, using biology instead of chemicals. We were able to see the results, and we are having health results. We're having increased the yield, more nutrient dense food, and all the farms that are participating in Foodshed have similar practices. No one is doing conventional agriculture using pesticides or chemical fertilizer. We try to share all these practices on a small scale. No disturbing soil, we do cover cropping, so there is always fields where there is vegetation, roots getting really good structure in there, having more of the microbiology and increasing that. So all these new, let's say the new frontier, we know more about going out of space. Now that we have more tools available, we can really demonstrate that this work helps to reverse the climate crisis that we have. There's sometimes not a lot of consensus on what are the tools that we want to use to quantify these, but NRCS has been validating and verifying different tools. We use one called Comet Planner that help us project and calculate the carbon sequestration and also other greenhouse gas emissions, and that takes into consideration all the practices in the farms, and there are different recommendations for different practices that, depending on the size of your farm, might allow you to really to the T, calculate how much potential for carbon sequestration, and not only carbon, sometimes we just get fixed on that, and I feel like it's important in our region to consider the capacity of the soil for water holding capacity. So we're in an area where we have drought, so how we can really maximize every single drop when it rains, because it's already much here, and really do the work of improving the soil health. The tools are there. We're using it for our own, sake of measuring and tracking through the year. Are we making any progress? How things are going? What are the challenges that we might be facing? And all these indicators can help us to move in the right direction.
And just to clarify, there's two tools that Vega uses that all the time. Those are the soil microbiometer, which is a new one that tests the soil rest, and then there's the
Solvita test
Solvita.
that we do soil respiration, and then with microbiometer you can read what is the microbial activity in your soil, your fungal to bacterial ratio. A lot of it really good for soils, it's the same type of compost. So you progressing on having healthy soils.
And I would say that on average, our San Diego soils have 1% soil organic matter, but on farms, and you guys probably too have been measuring yours, but we're seeing between 5 to 7% in the field, so that's a huge increase in over time.
Can you repeat the second one, soil microbiometer?
Yeah, and the other one is the Solvita test. It's the soil respiration.
And these are cool because you can do them in the field. You don't have to send soil off to the lab, and you can, and they're very affordable. Call Bea and she'll show you how to use them.
Absolutely. Any other question? Raise your hand so I can pick them up.
I was just curious on your expert opinions about vertical farms and maybe indoor farming and their place in a regenerative system. I understand we were into those, so we're really focused on certified organic produce in our stores, but obviously there's a lot of nuance, and there's sort of this tech direction, and then there's a regenerative direction, and I feel like there's some way to bring them together, but maybe not.
I'm just going to start by saying I love certified organic doesn't mean lack of nutrients. So those two things said, I think that there's a place for everybody to grow food, vertical systems, hydroponic systems, whatever your passion is. You know, I wouldn't want us to compare one against the other. But there is a climate solution wrapped up in soil and plants and the open sky that we are turning away from when we go to other systems. So I think that that in our effort to conserve water, if we desertify our soil, we've made a big mistake. So yes, and let's not lose track of soil. Anyone want to add to that? If it's a farmer and okay, you want the mic? Someone take it.
Hi, my name is Dee, and I work at Portable Work and we have a project called the Regenerative, which is a community learning hub, environmental justice learning hub, which is really focused on climate change, but then really trying to mobilize and get the residents around it to part of too. So what we don't rent out our garden beds because over like 30% of the residents are already growing in their own space, and they just want to come to a space to learn how to grow in their own space and create like mosaics of little, for a lot of people, are green spaces around urban spaces that don't have access to nature, don't have access to organic food. And we are looking at also the desert. So I really do want to do a food training program. That's our next step because I am not training with Pacer right now. And I took all that information and gave it to the residents, and they have all these questions about how to grow and how to be part of this kind of change, movement. And because they want to have a voice in this change too for their own neighborhood. So I guess my question is there any advice for getting residents that might not have, access or, capabilities or, able bodies to go work on the farm, but they can in their own tiny gardens in their own backyard? If you guys do a future and, resident-led green spaces or like making a neighborhood one big garden. But yeah, just hear y'all about.
Yeah. We can take that
Oh, yeah. Them and I were farmers. We have a business, microgreens, and yeah, we have the chance to grow our stuff right in our backyards. We have almost the same setting in our house, and in my house, almost the same one. And we were able to grow our stuff with a greenhouse and without a greenhouse, and it grows. And then we have Foodshed that buys it from us, and I don't know, it's a good story because we are like live in City Heights, we grow in City Heights, and people feel really happy when they eat something that goes from, we live like 3 blocks from the hub. And there's an opportunity to do all this type of work. And we also buy from New Roots Farm, which is a mile, something like that from the hub. And hey, you know what? Grow your stuff. We need it.
So we have 5 minutes left. So any other question?
For stuff like that, where does backyard growing or where you're sourcing the food from? Has there been any bump up with whether it's organicification? Does that really interplay with anything you're doing, or is that kind of because you're talking so directly with your consumers that's kind of like easy to talk to them and discuss what you're actually doing?
and just talk about certifications and business compliance.
Okay, I can just say, yeah, all our farms are some degree applying for regenerative practices, and that they can look very different from farm to farm. And in the very beginning, we wanted to be really open to bringing in farms that might get different levels of implementation. But the one thing that is certain is that none of us use pesticides, right? But a lot of us are not organic certified because it's pretty expensive, and so that it's an obstacle if you're the below a certain scale of farming, it just doesn't make economic sense for me to pay like $3,000 a year when, because of my tiny little backyard, really, I'm only bringing in 8,000, through my microgreens. And so that's been a position that we were clear on from the beginning, that we didn't want to limit it to just organically certified. And I don't know if that's your question.
I would add to that, KK was here. The reason we're struggling is because KK is the right person to answer this question and talk about how we work with farmers to get them all compliant.
Yeah, so our production team, myself, Erna, we do all the site visits. So I've been to every one of our farms. We go multiple times a year, and we really focus on peer certification. So we know exactly what's happening at each of our farms. We're not, as Adriana said, we're not that concerned with the USDA government label. We see a lot of flaws in that model as well. Not to say that we don't support people that do that too, but we don't choose to require it. And I also just wanted to make a farmer plug, because you guys haven't done that yet, but we're growing and we're always looking for more farms. So if you are farming or you know someone that's farming, please put them in touch with us.
I think part of being in business is being worried about, like, did you do the right certifications? Do you have the right business license? Did you sell it to the right people? And Foodshed staff spend a lot of time worrying about that for everybody so that they don't have to, and we just try to help make everyone compliant when we bring them on as Foodshed farmers. We also do make sure, food safety and having the right washing stations is probably the biggest thing, and so in the next year, we've tried to write some grants to get funding to build out people's wash stations. Because it isn't a matter of people want to have them, right? It's just sometimes you don't have one yet.
That would be a word.
I might have missed this in the beginning, and I'm seeing .org on your shirts and .com here, and here grants, and I'm confused. Are you a business or a nonprofit?
Excellent question. We are an S Corp, right, which is a for-profit business, and we have a fantastic fiscal sponsor that accepts grants on our behalf. So they're the 501c3, and then we accept the funds and utilize them for charitable purposes only, I promise. And that's a really fantastic model because we want to be able to take the money and do the systems change work that needs to be done, because there is no hustle that's going to get this done. There's no way we can make it pencil out on paper right now. So we use the grant funding for the systems change work, and we have a separate set of books and budget, like Adria was saying, that it's for the distro. So we can eventually, right, when the system has been changed, we can carve that off and feel good that it's its own functioning organization. So we actually, that's funny that you noticed that on the shirts. Both of these, we actually use them interchangeably depending on who we're talking to. And they all point to the same website.
It's a strategy we use, and like Adam was saying at the beginning, this is an effort with the goal of becoming self-sustainable. And when we walk in this pathway, we need all the support that we can take to make these programs work. And all the programs that we're offering, we do like trainings, and we offer like farmer to farmer like mentorship, and we have an apprenticeship program right now. Our apprentices are over here in the audience, and we really look into engaging the community in the production of the food, in the consumption of the local food. And like I said in the beginning, we all have a role to play. We like to say farmers and leaders unite, so we can fight climate change with our efforts. And this is the journey that we have ahead, and we need everybody to support it. Thank you. And I think that this wrap up this room over here. here, we have presentations today.
Sona, what's next? Ellie,
Any announcements?
we
No, hold on, no. No?
Yeah, if folks are wanting to avoid traffic, and going home, there is an amazing, Black woman-owned, wine bar right here in Escondido, walking distance, called Sip Wine and Beer, and there's after gathering party. So, take away there to avoid traffic. Thank you all.
Thank you.